the word life has a different meaning because there's the novel, and then we find out that there's something beyond the novel in the credit sequence. And even though we know that those are outtakes from the book that go beyond, and that now we're beginning the end of the book rather than the end of the novel, to a character like Bit von Rheingold and some of these characters that turn away and they look as if they're actors coming out of them, even though we don't see that Big Frank is named someone else. It's Big Frank as Big Frank. It's Bit von Rheingold as Bit von Rheingold. But are they really in some other reality as well? And then came life. Is what comes after that word life the real life of a different kind of book? Is, for example, when I was talking with this actress today, Jackie O'Shaughnessy, she was talking about the importance of being an actor and coming into a scene and out of a scene, even if you're only in for 5 seconds, that your character has to be coming from somewhere and going from somewhere. And I said that other actors have told me that it's important to know that even if you're a background character, that you may be a background character in the film or the TV show that you appear in, but the minute you walk off screen, you have to believe that there's a camera following you as a character, and you're the star of a totally different film that just happened to intersect the film that you're watching. And so in here, and then came life, is when we get the characters in the credit sequences doing these outtakes, it could be that there's a different Bit von Rheingold and a different Paulie Maravelli and a different Big Frank Concetto that live totally different lives from that which I have put in my books. And maybe some other author, for example, will take Big Frank Concetto or Bit von Rheingold and use them the way that I use Jim Hawkins or Anne Shirley or Tom Sawyer.
Yeah. It must be from Stardust Memories this idea eventually came because of how there's the outer film to it. But it's used in a much more effective manner, I think, in that film, and that the characterization of all the characters is so deep that to be revealed at the end that they're disassociated from that, or seemingly disassociated from their characters, it comes as makes you rethink everything that came before with this credit sequence, while at the same time playing perfectly within the structure of the novel. Did you have any thoughts about that? And was Stardust Memories also in the back of your mind throughout this last sequence?
Actually, not, because Stardust Memories isn't. I mean, while it's a great film, and I think it's arguably one of Woody's best, if not the best. I was actually there have been other works where I was actually thinking more along the line of some of the '60s films, like what's his name, Godard's Contempt, or some of Bergman's Persona, where you get the artifice that we're watching a film at the end and then something's walking away. But I wanted to have the characters more even directly address it than just being seen, doing outtakes. And of course, there's the modern convention of a lot of films that do in the credit sequences end with outtakes, and certainly DVD versions of films where you get the outtakes. And since I have intermissions and I have trailers and teaser trailers that started, I wanted to sort of mimic that. And so the last scene that is seen is again the rowing thing here, and it ends with the life raft started taking on water, and so we see that instead of rowing back as at the end of the novel, like coming to an end, that Big Frank seems to be being aborted as his raft is sinking, and he's sinking into the water, and this is the symbolism of water is the feminine. Big Frank now is hip deep in the water. He's stuck off the thing here, and I yelled cut. Several assistants tossed a life preserver to Big Frank, who held on to it and swam toward us, still laughing. As he got closer, he said to me, still laughing, "Hey, Danny boy, is this really the end?" And so it ends with the character that is at the cusp of the end of the novel, basically turning to the presumed writer, me, and asking if this really ends, which gets back to the Carn Evil ELP song lyric. The welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, because you know there's this Mobius strip quality of this one book, but it's also within the larger Mobius strip, as you'll see when you read the book 64 of the whole New York Quartet, which in itself is subsumed into the larger Schneider verse of fiction, which is part of my all of my writing, whether it's essays on Cosmoetica or my poetry, which is a part of me, the writer and the creator. I am the god that has made these little characters do stuff. And so here you have Big Frank, or a
You
version
have
of.
another level too, Dan, because of the public domain material, that it's in the larger world of literature,
Yeah.
and it works well to that too, where this book is connected to outer universes that have nothing to do with your universe.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the thing. I think there was a show called Saint Elsewhere in America in the '80s, where I saw a thing. There's a meme that goes around that all of American television is just a dream of this child that died on an episode of Saint Elsewhere, because they're interconnected characters, and he somehow has dreamt of some of them or whatnot. So, in a certain sense, yes, but. Uh, in a certain sense, no, too, because obviously my Tom Sawyer is just a variation of the original Tom Sawyer. Even when I have pull him out and give him a little extra dimension that someone like Twain could never have thought of, but nonetheless, I know what you're saying there.